guys, welcome back to my channel. Simone here. So today I'm going to be filming part 2 of my book unhaul. I did a book unhaul recently where I unhauled about 70 books. Today I'm going to be doing about 80 books because I got a new bookshelf and I got a new, well, I rearranged all my books basically, and I decided to get rid of any book I wasn't really excited to read, and these are those because I had about 350 plus books on my shelf before, and to be honest I'd had a lot of them for probably like 7 or 8 years, like since I was at home, when I lived at home, and I just haven't got rid of any books. And to be honest, some books my taste has changed and I'm just not liking them anymore and they're not really my type of thing, so I've decided just to get rid, because what's the point in keeping them if I'm not excited to read them. Now I can look at my shelves and feel really happy because every book I'm really looking forward to read, and now I'm at the point where I look at my shelves and I think, what am I going to read next? Like, how am I supposed to know what to do now? So I'm having the opposite problem. Anyway, so let's get started. Again, I'm going to try and whiz through these because there are a lot and I feel like this could be a long video otherwise. So the first book is The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. I talked about this in my end of the year book tag, and I was talking about how when I watched Books and Lala talk about this book, she said she'd started it and hadn't finished it and she didn't know what to do, and I was like, no, you can't get rid of it, because it sounded amazing. The premise sounded fantastic. It's about a girl named Melanie who waits in a cell every day, and she waits to be collected and she gets strapped to a wheelchair, and then obviously you don't know what the big twist is in this. But I agreed with her when I read this. I read about 150 pages on holiday and I really didn't like it. There's something about it just really wasn't for me, so I've decided I'm not even going to bother trying to finish this, I'm just going to get rid of it. Then we have Lethal Legacy by Linda Furstein. This is a book kind of like a detective book, and I said in my last video that basically any detective books that don't really stand out to me I'm going to get rid of, and I'm going to start afresh with kind of series I love and series I know and that I want to continue, because I don't want to keep reading loads of little ones like number 15 in a series or something, because it's just not fun for me. Then I have The Sunflower Forest by Tori Hayden. When I was younger I used to read a lot of Tori Hayden's books because she did a lot of non-fiction type. She did a lot of stories, but it was based on her work as a special education teacher, get the words right, and educational psychologist as well. And I used to really like those books, but this one is about, it's a novel, so it's not about her teaching. It's about a 17-year-old girl who, I don't really know what it's about apart from that, and it's not the type of book I want to read, so I'm going to get rid of this. Next up is The Kabul Beauty School by Deborah Rodriguez. I was interested when I got this book in the first place. It's about a beauty school that's set in the war zone of Kabul, and it's about the community of people. But to be honest with you, I've had this on my bookshelf for such a long time and I haven't picked it up, so I'm just going to get rid of it. Then I have The Woman Who Went to Bed for a Year by Sue Townsend. This is about a woman who, I believe, her twins leave home and she climbs into bed and stays there for a year, and then it's about the people around her who think she's kind of protesting against something, and I don't really know what else it's about, but it's not shouting to me. Then in my last video I talked about The Vampire Diaries and how I was getting rid of the books because I prefer the TV series and I'm just not interested, and I actually have 2 more of them here. I have The Fury and the Reunion, which are books 3 and 4 in the series, and then I have The Return Midnight, which is the 7th book in the series, getting rid of those. Then I'm getting rid of The Girl Who Fell from the Sky by Simon Mauer. I'm not sure quite how you say that. This is about killing people in France. Again, not something I'm really interested in. Then I next have The Replacement by Brenna Yovanoff. I believe my sister bought this book originally. I think she's read it and then gave it to me. It's about kind of like a creature who is the replacement, and they've stolen a baby and put him in the place, and that's not interesting to me anymore. And then I have Agent 21 Codebreak by Chris Ryan. In my November wrap-up I talked about the fact that I read Agent 21, the first one in this series, and I did like it. It wasn't my favourite, but I decided I was going to just read that one and leave it at that. This is actually the 3rd book and I don't own the 2nd, so I don't want to buy the 2nd one because, like I said, the first one I'm happy with just leaving it at that, so I'm going to get rid of this one. Next up is a story that will probably make you laugh, and When I counted the books I had unhauled, I had 149, and I was like, no, you can't have 149, you have to have 150. So then I started looking on my shelves for another book to unhaul, and then I decided to unhaul this one, which is The Suitcase Kid by Jacqueline Wilson. I loved Jacqueline Wilson as a kid, and I had a set of this one and Best Friends. And this one came in a set with Best Friends by Jacqueline Wilson, and I decided I was going to get rid of one of them, and I actually preferred Best Friends when I read it as a kid, so I decided to keep that one and get rid of The Suitcase Kid. Then we have Worst Case by James Patterson. I also mentioned in my last video, I will link that video below, just in case I haven't already said that, because obviously you kind of need to watch that one before you watch this one, just because I explain a lot more. But anyway, I decided that I have so many James Patterson books and I'm never going to get to all of them, so I've decided to keep 3 series. I've decided to keep the Women's Murder Club series, the Alex Cross series, and the Private series, and all the others I'm going to get rid of because I'm just never going to get to them all, and I like those series a lot, and there's like 20 books in each series, so I feel like I've got plenty of books to get on with. But this one is part of the Detective Michael Bennett series, so I'm going to get rid of this one. Then I have Bartimaeus, the Amulet of Samarkand by Jonathan Stroud. I started reading this with my sister, but it's about like magicians' apprentices and like genies and stuff, and it's just not really my type of thing, so I'm going to get rid of it. Then I have A Killing Coast by Pauline Rosen, which is another detective book that doesn't really stand out to me, so I'm getting rid of it. Then I have Burn by James Patterson and Michael Ledwidge, another one that's not in the series that I'm going to be reading. And another one is Kill Me If You Can by James Patterson and Marshall Karp. The Witness by Simon Kernick is another kind of crime one that doesn't stand out to me. No Mercy by Colin Forbes. This is a kind of like military type book, and again I don't really feel like reading those right now, so I'm going to get rid of this one. Then I have The Verdict by James Patterson. This is a John Roscoe thriller. I'm not keeping those, so I'm getting rid of it. Then I have 2 books that are kind of like MI5 military type ones. I have State of Emergency by Andy McNabb and The Bootlegger by Clive Cussler. Then I have Mummy's Little Soldier by Casey Watson, which is another kind of foster child one, like child abuse type thing, and again I'm not going to read this. And then Old Dog by Barney Bardsley, which is about a rescue mongrel who helped heal a grieving family. My mum read this and she did like it, but she said it was really slow, and it's not really for me. Then I have Earth Unaware by Orson Scott Card and Aaron Johnston. I've mentioned before that I don't like Orson Scott Card. He's made a lot of negative comments and homophobic comments in the past. I did read Ender's Game, and you can watch my November wrap up to see what I thought of that, but I decided I just didn't want to read this, so I'm going to get rid of it. Then I have Better Days Will Come by Pam Weaver, which is set in the 1940s and it's kind of a romance novel. Not my thing anymore. Then I have The King's Concubine by Anne O'Brien, which is another one of those kind of, I got rid of Forbidden Queen by her in the last haul, so I'm not going to read this. Then I have #Girlboss by Sophia Amoruso, who is the founder and CEO of Nasty Gal. I started watching the TV like series adaptation on Netflix and I really didn't like it, and I've kind of flipped through this and some of the language in this is just a bit weird to me, so I'm not going to read this. Then I have 2 books which are kind of those like romancy novels I was talking about a minute ago. I have The Boy With No Boots by Sheila Jeffries and The Broken Man by Josephine Cox. I'm not going to read those. And then I have Chosen, which is by PC and Kristen Cast, and it's one of the House of Night novels. I got rid of Untamed in the last video and it's just not really my thing anymore. I've kind of gone off it because there are so many books in the series and I read them such a long time ago I'd have to reread the first 2, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to get rid of it. Next up is Mersey Blues by Lynn Andrews, which is one of the kind of Great War novels that I don't want to read. Then I have Silverthorn by Raymond E. Feist. I think I've got another one of the series coming in a moment, and it's just not really for me. It's kind of about like magic and stuff, and I don't really like that, so. Then I have The Munitions Girls by Rosie Archer. Wish Upon a Star by Trisha Ashley is one of those kind of generic novels that I just don't feel stands out to me. This one is Just a Movie by Earl Lovelace. I will link the book Voyage unboxing that I did of this book, but to be honest, I just haven't reached for it and it's not really for me, so I'm going to get rid of this one. Then I have East of Desolation by Jack Higgins, which is another military novel, and it's also a mass market paperback, which I don't like. False Friends by Stephen Leather is a Spider Shepherd novel, which I did like the first one, but I don't really want to continue reading the series. Fireproof by Alex Carver is another crime novel that doesn't stand out to me. And then Long Way Home by Michael Morpurgo is a book set in the war, I believe, and it's kind of a middle grade book that I just don't want to read. Next up is Velocity by Dean Koontz, which is another kind of killer thriller that I don't want to read. I have Love and Laughter by Lily and Harry. Then I have Mother Earth, Father Sky and Brother Wind by Sue Harrison. I unhauled the other book in this series in the first book haul I did, and this is just isn't for me. It's kind of like a tribe book and it's not really my thing. Then I have Jewels and Secrets by Danielle Steele, again mass market paperbacks that I'm going to get from the library if I really want to read them. And then The Narrows by Michael Connolly, who is another killer thriller. Then I have all my hardbacks, so we have Goodbye Sweetheart by Lily and Harry. I have More About Boy, Roald Dahl's Tales from Childhood by Roald Dahl. I did like Roald Dahl's writing, but this is kind of like an autobiography type thing and it's just not really for me. Then I have Water Angels by Måns Kallentoft, which is like a Swedish crime thing, and I obviously in my November wrap up, which I will link below, I talked about the Icelandic one I read, which was Burial Rites by Hannah Kent, which I didn't really like, so I don't think I'm going to like this one either. Then I have 10,000 Saints by Eleanor Henderson, which I think has got something to do with like the 80s and it's about drugs and childbirth, and again not something I want to read. Then I seem to have a lot of autobiographies of people that I don't really care about that much. Like I've kept a few. I have Alan Carr, I have Miranda Hart somewhere around here. People that I actually like really like, whereas if I don't really like someone, I'm like, what's the point in me keeping the book? So I have Leslie Grantham, Life and Other Times. I don't know much about him and I don't really need to. I have The Crossing by James Cracknell and Ben Fogle, which is about them crossing the Atlantic, like rowing or something, and it's not really my thing. Then I have two books in a series. I have Hush Hush and Crescendo by Becca Fitzpatrick. I was going to keep this because I have heard some things about it, but mostly, to be honest, they've been negative things. This is kind of like an angel book and I got this from a charity shop. They were like £2 each, so I don't feel like I'm missing out on too much. Then we have another Lee Child book, and that is The Affair. Then I have The Diamond Queen, Elizabeth II and Her People by Andrew Marr, which I got in Poundland for £1 obviously, and I think Andrew Marr is just a little bit odd, and I feel like this is just such a big book and it's got so much stuff in it that I probably would not read it all in one go, and I feel like that's probably a waste, so I'd rather give it to somebody else that would really enjoy it. Then I have Jonathan Ross, Why Do I Say These Things? Again, I don't love Jonathan Ross, I like him, but I don't need to know his life story. Next I have Step on a Crack by James Patterson and Michael Ledwidge, and this is a Detective Michael Bennett series, and again it's not one I'm keeping. Then we have Time to Be in Earnest by P.D. James, which is an autobiography of her 75th year of life, between 75 and 76 I believe. It doesn't do anything for me. Controversially, and also I couldn't decide whether to get rid of this book, but my boyfriend was like, you didn't like it, why are you keeping it? It is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child Parts 1 and 2, based on an original news story by J.K. Rowling, written by John Tiffany and Jack Thorne, and this is the play like special rehearsal edition script. I got this when it came out. It was the 8th story apparently, 19 years after the books, and it's just not part of the series to me and I didn't like it, so I'm going to get rid of it. Then we have John Bishop, How Did All This Happen? Again, a comedian I like, but I don't need to know his life story. Same goes for Richard Hammond's On the Edge, Victoria Beckham's Learning to Fly, Paul O'Grady's At My Mother's Knee and Other Low Joints, and Jordan, Pushed to the Limit by Katie Price. We are coming to the end, guys, I promise. This is like the last little stack. So we have You're Coming With Me, Lad by Mike Pannett, which is Tales of a Yorkshire Bobby, and I don't care. I'm just getting to the point where I'm like, don't care, move on. We have Wrongful Death by Linda LaPlante, which is another killer thriller. Emma's Baby by Abby Taylor, which is it's a book about a woman whose baby gets stolen by strangers and the police think it's got something to do with her, so I'm not going to read this. Then we have City of the Beasts by Isabel Allende, which I think has something to do with like the Amazon rainforest, and I don't know, I'm not going to read this. The lighting has really changed, it's got really dark, so I can only apologise. Then I have Hackney Child, A True Story of Surviving Poverty in the Care System by Hope Daniels and Morag Livingstone. Again, this is another book that I can't read about children being injured and hurt and upset. It just makes me sad. Then I have Second Glance by Jodi Picoult, which I have kept another one of my Jodi Picoult books because I was really interested in it, but this one is kind of about an ancient Indian burial ground and hauntings and ghosts and things, and I don't believe in that, so I don't love paranormal stuff. Then I have Filthy Rich by Wendy Holden, which is another kind of Hollywood type book. Then I have Brewster by Mark Slaughter. I feel kind of bad getting rid of this because this was one that was sent to me. I did like a Facebook book club thing where you like swap books or send books out to people. I can't really remember, but it's a coming of age book about a small town and a boy in a small town, and it's just not something that interests me. Then we have Magician by Raymond E. Feist. This is massive and it's the first book in a series, and I believe the second one I've just unhauled somewhere else. It's somewhere around here, so it just doesn't interest me. And I have Stay Alive by Simon Koenig, another killer thriller. Ant and Dec's Ooh What a Lovely Pair. I like Ant and Dec, but again, I don't care to know their life story. Rivals by Jilly Cooper. Sounds interesting, it's massive, and it's just not for me. Then we have Ash by Melinda Lowe, which I believe is a Cinderella retelling. That sounded funny. Cinderella retelling, which I was interested in before, but I think I've kind of gone off the idea, so I'm not going to read this one. Then I have Broken Bodies by June Hampson, which is like a gangster book, and I don't really like books about gangs and mobs and stuff. Then I have A Whole New World, A Twisted Tale, which is like a Disney book, but it's about, it says, what if Aladdin had never found the lamp? And I believe this is about the story of like Jasmine and Aladdin, but kind of in a really negative way. It's like twisted to make it like bad as opposed to like good. I don't know, but I don't really want to read this. And then the final book that I'm unhauling today is Don't Blink by James Patterson and Howard Ruffin, and again, I'm not keeping all of his books, so this is one I'm getting rid of. So that is 80 plus books in this video. That took me a long time, there was a lot of books, but I feel so much better about my bookshelves. I will be doing bookshelf tours and book nook tours starting again. I'm going to do them shelf by shelf as I did before, but I'm actually going to finish them this time because I think I got about halfway through last time because my shelves just started to get a bit messy and I just couldn't deal with it. But now I've really sorted them out. I've got my new bookshelf, which I'm loving, and I've like rainbowed the shelves and I'm so excited. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, I hope you did, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more of my videos, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye guys!